I'm using different gear to record all this, but it's kind of what I have to do at the moment. I'm not entirely sure how it's going to sound, and you can probably hear that I've got a crud in my throat and my breath is really short, and I'm going to really try not to cough right in the microphone. Anyway, a whole lot has changed since the last time I uploaded. I know it's been quite a while, but things have been pretty busy. A couple things before we get into this. General PSA. These are just my thoughts and opinions on what this training has done to me personally. This is not meant to inform your training one way or the other, and it's not meant to teach you how to do HME Tai Chi. This is just my genuine observations on what it's done to me. So, right or wrong, especially in this one, I might have a few things that I'm doing wrong. We'll see. But yeah, don't follow this as a way to train or to inform what you're doing. The other PSA I have is about COVID-19, and it's that I'm not a doctor and I'm not your doctor. So this isn't medical advice or advice of what you should do if you're, no, I don't care what you do. Go talk to a doctor or something, right? Don't listen to some guy in an Epstein shirt about what to do for your medical advice. Um, but this is just what I chose to do and my observations on what it did. So that being said, my training partner and I somewhat recently have decided we're sick of things getting in the way of our training time, and we just want to go. Well, we want to train at our pace, which is in a lot of cases excessive. But you know what? That's what we're here for. And me personally, I'm going pretty balls to the wall with a lot of this just to see what happens. And when I say train, I don't mean we play music and kind of move around slowly and then we have a tea break or we no. It's like if we're going fast, I mean we're clipping and we don't talk. We just kind of go, okay, ready for the next one, ready, and then on to the next one we go. Minimum 2 hours, minimum. And if we talk whatsoever, it goes up to like three, really. Or if we repeat things. Anyway, shortly after we started training at a much stricter pace, Thanksgiving rolled around. So Thanksgiving comes up, and I travel downstate to go be with family, and it's big get together and this huge celebration. And I'm staying at my uncle's place, and he brews his own beer down in the basement. And it's good beer. It's really good. That's important, I swear. Um, it, we didn't want to stop our training. So, of course, you're traveling. This was like an 8 hour drive for us or something like that. So we had to leave kind of early if we wanted to get there at a reasonable time. And that meant, well, I don't want to get there and then train. That just sounds like garbage. So this led to a lot of really early mornings of we got to start training at 5:30 in the morning so I can then finish packing, have a quick breakfast, get on the road, that kind of thing. Well, Thursday itself, on Thanksgiving, I got up, trained, had breakfast, mingled with family, and we had dinner at noon. And shortly after dinner, I started to feel, ugh, like just not very good. And again, my uncle brews his own beer, so we're all day drinking. Like you have a meal at noon, and you're just miserably full. Yeah, time to drink a bunch of beer. So I'm just drinking, and I'm just feeling like crap. But I thought, keep drinking, keep drinking, because that's the smart thing to do. That's bad advice. I started feeling worse and worse as the day went on, and that night when I went to sleep, or like had my shower at night and then went to go to bed, I started getting chills. My skin got that hypersensitivity, and I started to sweat and get cold, and then started getting shaky. And the only thing that would keep me from shaking was release. And if you're not in the HME system, the word has a lot of different meanings, but when people tell you to relax in Tai Chi, it's a little more complicated than that. But needless to say, all I could do to keep myself from shaking was actually to release. And it still takes a lot of effort, and especially then, it took a lot of effort. So it was not easy, so I was shaking a lot. So I didn't sleep very well that night at all. And I think we trained at like 7 a.m. the next day or something. So I slept for like 2 hours, maybe. Got up, and I was still feeling like garbage, just hot garbage. And made me a cup of coffee, and I dragging this stupid laptop down to the basement all alone. Everybody else is, cozy in their bed, and set up for training. And partway through training, and I mean partway is in like the first 10, 15 minutes, I started to feel normal, to where then when I got to the actual the things that I really have a lot of trouble with and I exert myself greatly on, uh, I I felt good. I actually felt good to do those things. So then we go to do standing, and I felt good. Like I could actually exert myself like I normally would. And then afterwards, for a good while, I felt great. And then as the day went on, it kind of sloped. I feel really shitty again, but I didn't really have like a cough or anything. So I didn't think COVID, but it was COVID. Um, and it, sorry about the cough and everything, but I mean, that was Thanksgiving. And this is what, a week away from Christmas, and I still have a lingering cough, still have some shortness of breath, still not feeling 100%. Now, I cannot say whether or not training through COVID has made the symptoms linger, or if the symptoms just linger for me more than other people. I do have a really odd immune system in that I have some sort of yet unidentified autoimmune issue. I'm very, 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 very prone to getting sick, infections, and all sorts of things. I've almost died from this a number of times. It's not great. Tai Chi has greatly helped with that, which is really cool. So up till that point, I had always said, "Oh, I'm sick. I know this feeling. Time to pause training for me. Time to rest. Have some tea. You know, Dayquil, Nyquil, ibuprofen, all that kind of stuff, and just let things settle." And I wanted to try this other approach of no, let's just keep training. What happens? If I get sicker, I'm not worried about it at this point. I've been sick too much, and I get really depressed when I just keep getting sick. So I had enough of it. And I haven't skipped a day of training since COVID started, like since I got COVID. And it, I can still exert myself greatly. In fact, I'm so glad that I didn't stop training because I've made a lot of progress in that time. Now, is that the best advice for everybody? I don't know. Again, I'm not your doctor. This is only what I did. I don't care what you do. I really don't. So it seems to have worked out for me pretty well so far. Maybe it's making it linger. Even if it is, I honestly don't care because the gains I've gotten from this are, wow, immense. So now on to the good stuff. I know I've been talking about like my feet and quite a bit, different things like that, and my feet have changed a little bit, but it's more the things above it that have really, really changed. So one of the things that we did, for those that know the squat, right? And there's like a whole set of these things, but talking about a very specific squat. I think everybody knows which one I'm talking about if you do it. Um, we somewhat recently, I guess, I don't know when, decided to double the amount of time that we're in the squat because, well, I found that my hips were a lot more closed off than I thought they were when I realized I couldn't step properly in Tai Chi. And I said, that's not cool. I got to open my hips. So we doubled the amount of time that we're in squat. And then I do extra squat outside of that. And then I do squat when I'm bored. Guess what? I'm going to just do squat. And so there's a spot. I'm not actually going to show my ass, don't worry. But I got my spine and tailbone and things like that down here, and then there's hip, and then there's like more bone in there somewhere. I don't know, but there's this like a space between your spine and then where the hip rotates and that whole cradle thing is, right? Well, this space between the two on my right side was always frozen, kind of locked in place. Not, it couldn't do this separately from the other thing, and it definitely couldn't do this. So one of the times that we were in squat, um, I pushed my knee open, and wouldn't you know it, something back there gave way. And it lines up with some corrections that I had been getting before. People would keep pushing that sacrum area down underneath me and pushing it down. So I would try to keep it there, but I could never actually release to get there. I couldn't feel it. I actually had no idea I couldn't feel that spot before. And then it was like, boom, is this white hot kind of tearing. I know it sounds unpleasant as hell, but kind of a white hot tearing sensation of things pulling open, but I could feel it all of a sudden. And suddenly that little space went ooh, and I could move them separately. And since then, I've been able to articulate things in that area a lot more, and I can actually release this whole section right here. Right here takes a little bit more effort, but I can actually get that to release a lot more than I could, which, once you know it, drops weight down through my legs, down to my feet a lot better. Shocker, I know. Now, on top of that, because I've been hitting squat, there's a stretch and like kind of an open exercise that involves the waistline that I've also become really obsessed with since now I can feel that spot. I just, again, in between other things, that's what I'm doing. That's just what I do. And so that's been opening things up a ton back there. And along with that, I've been hitting the shoulders hard as I always do. Um, there's a there's an intimate connection between your hips, especially the backs of your hips, and your shoulder blades that is kind of hard to describe. And I've been able to feel that more and more and more, especially since camp in July there. But now, now I can do a lot more with that since I can release and I can lower that sacrum area. There's a lot more room for things to go, which then helps me release down through my arms a bit more. It's been helping me spread things out so my shoulders aren't rolled so forward. Now my shoulder blades don't have to go together when I go to do some of these. They can actually go and out, and it's very hard, but it's also really good, and I can feel that out and down. God, it's just so much. So then something else happened because I think I mentioned before that I've had a lot of knee issues in my left knee. Compressed patella into the joint. My patella actually has it looks like a spider web. There's a fracture, broken. I don't know whatever term they use for it, but it broke, slammed into the joint, and it looks like a spider web if you look at it through an X-ray. It's kind of cool. And I'm so used to it being that way that anytime I go to move, it's just grinding. That's just how it is. So I'm setting up to do an exercise that doesn't involve knees. It mildly involves hips, but it's a spinal thing. And so I'm lowering down into position and I feel my kneecap and it feels like visceral bone, everything just goes and it I didn't hear it, but I felt that noise just radiate through the leg and I froze because if I did anything else, it was going to tighten up and react and it was probably going to be bad. And it didn't feel good, but it also wasn't pain necessarily. But then this part of my left foot, that same side, turned to pins and needles. And now I have more feeling in that part of my foot. But also I can release the front part of my knee, and that's my bad knee. And now it feels strong and it feels physically confident. And I'm not used to that whatsoever. I have to remind myself that I can actually do that now. I have to make the alteration to the rest of my life to be able to do that. It's really strange, but it's just really exciting. I'm really really happy about that, and of course that's affected my feet quite a bit. I can feel my feet a lot more, and I can stabilize a lot more, and I can keep myself from twisting. And it's every time I make a little adjustment, it echoes everywhere else and everything else I got to do. So with all of that and getting into, you know, shoulders and everything else, um, I recently had a massage that somebody gave me a gift certificate for like an hour and a half long massage, and this this sweet lady, she was asking, you know, how much pressure do you want, and do you want it soft or gentle, or do you want it like kind of hard? Like, what are you looking for? And so I described things that I'm trying to do with the body opening exercises and the things, the target areas that I'm looking for, and the what I'm what my goals are. And I told her, come, you know, being having a good cozy massage is good, but honestly, don't worry about my comfort. I want you to just help me try to open things up, tear at me, dig at, like just go, just go ham. And for an hour and a half, she did had suction cups on me, and she was raking them up and down my IT bands, and she was pushing this knee this way and then laying on it and just grinding at these like bands of muscle. It felt so good. It was so good. I mean, afterwards, I was on cloud nine, but also simultaneously felt like I got run over by a truck and dragged through mud, just dragged behind something nasty. I felt like somebody beat the shit out of me, but in a good way. And thankfully, that was on my off day. Well, close enough to it, I guess. But training was already done for that day, so the rest of the day I was just, phew, I was gone. Uh, but that showed me a couple things I got to fix, especially with my left shoulder and the front. Shocker, right? I had surgery there, and in the back on the shoulder blade, and some things that I got to really, really work on that were just really tight. So it helped in a lot of different ways. So if you find somebody that does good body work like that, I, I do recommend it. It does really help. And have them just tear you apart, whatever, right? You're fine. Um, so here's something else that I've been playing with, and this is quite recent. Um, it's not like I haven't been doing parts of this already, but uh, it's something that has affected my standing posture specifically. And I guess I don't know 100% sure if this is the right way to go about it, but I think it is more correct than what I was doing. And I'm honestly still trying to formulate how to boil this down to a succinct question so that I can find out for sure if this is the right thing to do for this. So here we go. I'm playing with two two ideas of release, I guess. Two ways of I don't want to say two ways of doing it, but they are different. And I'd actually try this on various people without telling them, you know, they knew I was going to do something. I didn't just like run up to somebody on the street, but like students, friends, my wife, you know, that kind of thing, and just, hey, I want to try something. Just stand, however, and just tell me how this feels. Here's type one, here's type two, and just got their feedback on how it felt. There's something I was doing where it's a very, I almost want to say gentle release. And what I've noticed is that a lot of times if I'm getting into a standing posture, if I'm settling into something and say my back is sticking out, you know, my back is curved, my butt's sticking out, and it's not good. Things are tight. And so I could, you know, pull it under, but that's wrong in a lot of ways, and I don't need to do that anymore. So what I'll do is I'll release contraction, and I'll use that to get my hips back into place. It's really gentle. It's just this kind of, okay, settle into place. It sort of has the same idea for me feeling wise as when you first lay down and you're getting ready to go to sleep. It's the so I feel like I was doing that too much in other things. This other thing that I was playing with is something that I would do after the first type of release, after the settling in the position. And this is just from I would observe what I would do because at this point I've done I do this often enough that I go into standing position and I I can observe what my body starts to do when I think time to get ready to do this exercise, time to get ready to do this thing, and things start to move. And I go, okay, what am I actually doing here? And how am I releasing? How's my structure? What things are happening? And I think every now and again it's a good thing to check in with your process. I think anyway, just to be observant on it. So I noticed that I would first use this really gentle way of releasing things to get into position, followed by, I can't call it gentle, but followed by almost an aggressive release, like a find it and just boom, go. Like it's just almost a not frustrated, but if something is doing this, your feet are doing this, and you just make it go, ah, and then keep it like that. But to keep it like that takes effort. It feels like you're grappling with a chihuahua that's constantly doing this, and then you just use your body weight to just right over top of it. But the moment you tighten up, it's going to start fighting back, and you got to right over top of it. I know it sounds really mean, like I'm strangling a small chihuahua, but yeah. So what I was finding is that I would use this gentle release to get things lined up, and then this, I'll just call it more aggressive release, and it would, the sensation would be like something is filling. It wouldn't feel floppy and disconnected, but it wouldn't feel floppy and disconnected with a gentle release, but it wouldn't feel strong. Uh, this more aggressive release, it feels, things feel strong and things work a lot harder when I go for this. And it kind of, in a way, forces a connection. It helps me to connect things and helps me to align things even more so, especially in the shoulders. It kind of, it pushes things into place. Otherwise, that line of pressure can't continue. And there are certain key factors here that I'm checking in with to make sure that it is still release and not something like pushing or contraction. There's a certain aspect of these things that involves fascia that if you contract, that it goes away. But I've been able to maintain that while creating what essentially feels like a pressure wave going through the inside of my limbs and through my body. And I know it sounds probably really odd, but that is honestly the best way I can describe it. Is it does feel like a wave. Sometimes it's kind of slow and meticulous, and I have to go through each little bit one by one. And other times I almost feel like it goes a little ahead of me, which is kind of odd. So like I'll get through the legs and then go into the waistline, and then it just goes, and I have to. Sometimes I almost feel like I need to slow it down or something, but sometimes it just goes. Um, and that's the part that I don't know 100% if that's more correct than what I was doing, because it feels different than what I'm used to, and since it's a new alien feeling that I'm not used to yet, and I haven't had that much time or experience with it yet, I don't know yet. It's kind of uncharted territory for me, all things considered. So could be more correct, could be completely wrong, and I have to go back to just just doing as right as I can. I guess we'll find out. Uh, but another observation with this is I've been noticing that it seems to be helping me open things up. And this is why I mentioned my observations and how I set things up. So take shoulder out through the hand, for example. If I want to line things up to where, I elbows in the right spot, shoulders in the right spot, and I want to say I want to press this out away from me as far as I can. I know it sounds like an odd thing to go for, but it's relevant for a lot of these exercises. So what I'll do is, obviously bring the arm up. But when I go to bring the arm up, there's a lot of other things that happen in order to try and bring it up with better structure internally. Uh, Again, kind of the best way I can describe it. You know, 'cause doing this versus doing this doesn't really look that different, but to me, they couldn't feel any more different. They really couldn't. Here, it's just this pulls and this lifts. I'm good at that. Here, I'm almost pushing it up from underneath, pulling. I don't know. It's other things are moving to make this go, as opposed to just this. It's no longer a puppet string. It's a something fills like a bag and then goes and it pushes. It's so alien to everything I know how to move. And that's why this could be right or this could be wrong. Anyway, I'm getting lost here. So I'm bringing the arm up and I'll use that gentle release to line things up. So like here, shoulders up and forward. Well, that's just bad. So I don't want my shoulder up and forward. So I'll use a gentle release to bring the shoulder into place. I'll bring it into place. Well, then my elbow's a little funny, so I'll bring that into place. Now my wrist is a little, so I'll bring that into place. And then once it's lined up, what I used to have to do is muscle a lot of things, including that first part. I'd have to push it down, press this out, because all I knew how to do was use muscle force. I'm past the point of needing to do that for everything, which is kind of odd. It feels like a deer walking for my first time. It's really strange. Um, so I use that gentle release to line things up. And then I can even, let's say I want to, I don't know, let's say I just want to go that way with it, just pick something random. Um, I can use that gentle release to start the, oh, well, that actually looks kind of how it feels. It looks like it's going away from me. That's kind of cool. That's just neat. And I can kind of I can kind of expand that out through the arm. And I get a really good stretch. Uh, I feel like things, nothing's tense, nothing's fighting. It's really kind of nice. And now I can go one step further. And this is the part of new territory of now I can create a pressure wave and I can control that pressure wave again with release, but it's pressure. And so then I can get that to go and follow behind what's there. And it feels suddenly like it's full, like almost aggressively full. And that might just be tightness that's bumping up against. And the reason why I say that is because it feels, use my other arm, my arms are tired from this morning. The reason why I say that it might be just bumping into things that are tight is because it feels like I'm lining things up, use gentle release to open up essentially a pipe, a tube of some sort. And I'll use that gentle release to open things up enough. And then I turn on the water and it goes. And that water is still going to bump into more blockages. And along the way, it just hits it and it presses that tube and it expands. It feels like it's actually pushing tissues from the inside going out. It actually feels like tissues are physically moving. It's not something in my head. I'm not imagining colors or imagining this pressure wave and trying to, that's just what it feels like. Again, right or wrong, don't know. So try not to let that get in your head. But I do find it kind of interesting that I've heard descriptions um, involving everything from the Terminator to hydraulic press to all these descriptions that lead me to believe that this this could be another big step in the right direction for me. So, and hey, if it's not, if this is all wrong, it's all crap, it's still a good step in the right direction because now I know what not to do. So it's a win-win in my book, really. That's how I see it. And there is something else as well that the more and more I do this, I didn't realize how not just how tight I was, but how up everything is. And I'm a fast twitch muscle kind of guy, and I like fast sparring, and I like quick reaction time, and fast snappy kicks, and all sorts of good stuff. So I didn't realize that I felt so disconnected and pulled back from my body that it always felt like I was present right here, but everything else was maybe just a little shifted back and up, as if I was surviving, I was controlling everything from here, and everything was going down from there. And I still feel like this is up and this is my control center, but the more I do this and the more I align things and the more things let go, I also now feel like I'm standing on my feet and coming from the ground up more than I'm coming from, some dangling position and my feet are just touching the floor. I no longer feel floaty and pulling up. I feel like I'm, uh, rooted isn't really the best term for it, but it feels like I'm standing up. I don't know how else to put it. The difference in internal perception, proprioception, whatever they call it, but the difference in my own perception of my body has changed so drastically that the best comparison I can really make, um, would be like if you're playing a mech assault game and you go from third person to first person. You literally go from you're seeing the bot and you're aiming things. You're definitely controlling it, but you see it and it's in front of you, to you're in it, you're looking out the windshield, you're seeing everything else in front of you, and there are the controls right there. The difference is is that drastic. It's so odd and so different that every now and again, I just I feel like I want to grab somebody that has no idea this exists and do the Bill Nye the Science Guy thing where you just grab them and do you know about this and just like shock their paradigm. I honestly can't shut the hell up about it, and that's why these videos keep coming out. So anyway, I've rambled on quite a bit. My voice is really giving out on me, so um, I really appreciate everybody that's been checking in with these, and I appreciate all the comments. Let me know how your training is going, guys. This is really great, and yeah, I really encourage anyone that's doing the system to train really hard and, more importantly, train very sincerely as best you can. This is this is really good stuff. And if you're not in the system and you're just curious about what this does, I can tell you these are my honest observations. I don't have any reason to lie. They don't they don't pay me money or anything. I'm not getting millions of views doing this. This is I'm just a guy that grew up doing karate, and this is just what it's been like. So, um, a couple extra things. I have more interviews that I want to do. I got some more videos, different things that I want to do that are coming up here really soon that I'm really excited about. I'm hoping to get past this first and get my normal setup back, so that way things will sound and look. They never sound that good, but they'll more what you're used to. And as always, thank you very much, my Patreon supporters. It's greatly appreciated. Uh, that's just another good reason for me to train extra hard and to really go just buck wild with this stuff and really see what happens. Um, because somebody out there is helping out and supporting, and I just think it's really cool that anyone wants to hear what my thoughts are on this. So, all that being said, happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, whatever the hell you celebrate. Um, Happy that. And yeah, see you guys in the next one.